Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، إنه تعالى جل عن الشبيه والمثيل والند والنظير. ثم نشهد أن سيدنا وسندنا ونبينا وحبيبنا وداعينا ومرشدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله صفيه وخليله، صلى الله تبارك وتعالى عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. وقال تعالى: يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام، إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. وقال تعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. صدق الله العظيم. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, in today's short conversation that I have with you, I want to talk to you about one of the most important or most blessed days to the millions and billions of Muslims across the globe. And that is the day of Ashura, the day of the 10th of Muharram. It was a very special day for our Prophet ﷺ. It was a day in which he worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala extra, and he always fasted on this day. It comes in the narration of Sahih al-Bukhari. The Prophet ﷺ, when he migrated from Mecca to Medina, he saw that the Jews of Medina would celebrate on the 10th of Muharram. They would celebrate and they would have their Eid on the 10th of Muharram. And so the Prophet ﷺ asked them, why are you celebrating this day? What importance is this day for you? And so they said, this is the day in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave najah to Musa alayhi salam from Fir'aun. It is the day Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved Musa or protected Musa from the wrath of Fir'aun. Right? It's the day in which we all know this famous story when Musa alayhi salam is standing at the Nile, and this is the day where Fir'aun is coming behind them. So he hits his staff against the water, and the Nile splits into, it wasn't the Nile River, it was another river, but it splits into 12 different portions, and the people of Bani Israel crossed through. It was this day, it was the day of Ashura, the 10th of Muharram. And so the Prophet ﷺ said, we have more right to Musa alayhi salam than you do, meaning we are the true followers of Musa alayhi salam. And so the Prophet ﷺ would fast on the 10th of Muharram for throughout his 10 years in Medina. And then it said the Prophet ﷺ in the last year of his life, he said, from next year onwards, I will fast the 9th and the 10th of Muharram. Right? Unfortunately, though he had passed away before the next time had come, he had said to fast the 9th and the 10th. And so the scholars say there's a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ to fast the 9th of Muharram and the 10th of Muharram, which also corresponds to the same day in September. So the 9th of September and the 10th of September for this year are the 9th of Muharram and the 10th of Muharram. I encourage and implore all of you to establish the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, right, to fast on these 2 days, right? So these days are actually known for 2 very, very famous incidents. Number one, the najat of Musa alayhi salam, the saving or the protection. Allah protected Musa alayhi salam from Fir'aun. And number 2, for the unfortunate massacre in the city of Karbala, right, outside of the city of Kufa, of Imam Hussein, or the grandson of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? These two famous incidents happened on the 10th of Muharram, right? But the 10th of Muharram, coincidentally, also was the day. Imam Hussein's murder was coincidentally on the day of Ashura, right? The day of Ashura, the 10th of Muharram, was sacred and sanctified even before the massacre. We'll talk more about that inshallah afterwards. But it comes in the hadith that Muharram is one of the most sacred months. The Prophet ﷺ referred to this day as Shahrullah al-Muharram, right? The month of Allah. It is the month of Allah. And the word Muharram comes from the word Masjid al-Haram, which means sanctified. It is a sanctified month. And the Quran refers to Muharram as one of the 4 months, Arba'atul Hurum, right? 4 months which have immense sanctity in it, right? This is a month of, that is very blessed in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a sacred month. It's a sanctified month, right? There is Rajab al-Mufarrad, there is the month of Rajab, and then there is Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah, and Muharram. These are the 4 months that are very, very sanctified. Of course, Ramadan is the most virtuous, right? In terms of sanctity, these are the 4 sacred months. And it is the Prophet ﷺ referred to this month as Shahrullah, the month of Allah, right? There is no greater honor that a month can have than being referred to as the month of Allah, right? Allah's month. And it comes in the hadith, although it is a weak one, they said that when it came time to start the Islamic calendar, right? During the time of Umar radiallahu ta'ala, right? The Sahaba got together and they decided to start the Hijrah calendar. And so they made they had an agreement amongst them, and they consulted one another, and they decided that we are going to start the Islamic calendar from the Hijrah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Umar ibn Khattab says, there were many different occasions we could have chosen. We could have chosen the birth of the Prophet. We could have chosen the death of the Prophet. We could have chosen the Battle of Badr, which was the greatest victory for Muslims. We could have chosen the year of the elephant, right? The 6 months before our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born. We chose to have start the Islamic calendar with the Hijrah, with the emigration of the Prophet ﷺ from Mecca to Medina. And then Umar ibn Khattab says, then we had to choose which month would be the first month of the calendar. Right? There is 12 months in the Hijrah calendar, but which month was the first month? And if you look at the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ emigrated in the month of Rabi'ul Awwal. Prophet ﷺ emigrated in the month of Rabi'ul Awwal. So some Sahaba stood up and they said, no, it is our opinion that we begin the Hijri calendar. So if we're starting the Islamic calendar with the Hijrah, we should begin the first month with the month of the Hijrah, right? So the first month should be Rabi'ul Awwal. And then some Sahaba stood up and said, no, it should be Ramadan, because Ramadan is the most blessed and virtuous month. And then some Sahaba stood up and said, no, it should be the month of Hajj, the Hijjah. And finally it was decided, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu said, in my opinion, it should be the month of Muharram, right? It is indeed Shahrullah, and it comes right after the Hajj, right? So we begin our new year with the most sanctified of months. And everyone agreed to this opinion. This is how Muharram became the first. But nothing happens by coincidence. It happens by Allah's design, right? It was the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have this month be the first month. And I mentioned this before, in one of my previous khutbahs, we should learn the Islamic months. We should learn the Islamic months. We should learn, what they mean and what historical events happened at this time in those months, right? We should learn, what is the significance of each month. We should know which month we are in at all times, right? This is, after all, our calendar. The Hijrah calendar is known as the Islamic calendar, right? And there are many different calendars, and we have so many unique things about our calendar. This is maybe a separate khutbah by itself. But every other calendar has been changed multiple times, right? We know about our Gregorian calendar, the one that we are in right now, 2019. It has been changed hundreds of times, right? That's without exaggeration, right? Initially, it was a 10-month calendar, right? The word DEC, det, means 10, right? Sept means 7. Act means 8. But what happened was, the Caesar of Rome, he decided to add 2 more months. One named after himself, Augustus the Caesar, and one named after his father, Julius Caesar, right? So these 2 months became added. And so there are so many inconsistencies. And there are, some months have 30 days, some months have, 31 days, some months have 28 days. These are inconsistencies, and they have been changed so many different times, right? Our calendar has been changed so many times, the last being in the 17th century when they added extra days to make sure it completes a complete solar, round of the Earth completes a complete circle around the sun, right? But nonetheless, our Islamic calendar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, It's يَوْمَ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ مِنْهَا أَرْبَعَةٌ حُرُمٌ. Allah says, يَوْمَ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ. It's exactly the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, made it, or by design. He wanted this day or he wanted the Islamic calendar to be according to the ways of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you can please turn that light off, it is coming into my eyes, brother. If you can please turn the light off, it's coming into my eyes. But this is the month of Muharram, right? And I mentioned there were two important events that happened in this month, right? Number one, the Najat of Musa alayhi salam, and number two, the unfortunate killing of Sayyidina Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And I don't want to talk about those events themselves. I want to talk about the lessons that we can learn from both of those events. Both of these individuals, right? And it's like I said, it's not by coincidence that these things happen on this day. It is by design of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are days when we remember these events and we learn the lessons from those events, right? These are days in which we learn the events. We learn the lessons, we take lessons from those events. Musa alayhi salam's entire life was a life of surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. From the moment he was born, he was trained to surrender himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a time when we think to ourselves, what are we going to do? How are we going to surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We fast to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the 9th and the 10th of Muharram. But we ask ourselves this question as well, right? What am I going to do for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The question, Musa, from the very beginning, Musa alayhi salam, he was trained to be in the service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he was born, his mother said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told his mother, right? Revealed to his mother, Alqihi fil yam, put him in the river. And Musa alayhi salam would imagine your mother putting a baby into a basket and letting that baby go, right? It's so much pain that you can't even imagine it, right? And this is the training of Musa alayhi salam's mother and Musa alayhi salam. That it doesn't make a difference what circumstance we are in, the service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always comes first, right? We don't ask ourselves what I want to be. Our goal should be, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want me to do? What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want from me? How does He want me to live? Musa alayhi salam he had every single nicety and every single luxury in the castle of Fir'aun. He grew up, right, with foster parents, with the Fir'aun, and he had every single type of luxury. The best things that money could buy at that time, Musa alayhi salam had it. But he gave all of that up for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He surrendered his life for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The question we need to ask ourselves is, are we going to be like Musa alayhi salam? Are we going to learn the lessons of Musa alayhi salam? Learn to sacrifice for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Musa alayhi salam was standing at the river, and the Fir'aun is coming, the army is coming behind him. One of his people, and Musa alayhi salam's people, they would take one step forward, 10 steps back, right? They were the most difficult people to deal with. And Musa alayhi salam's patience was immense, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him such forbearance that he never gave anyone else. And he sacrificed for his people, he loved his people, he cared for his people. And so when woman stood up, when she sees Fir'aun and his army coming from behind, she says, we are inna la mughraqun, right? The Quran quotes this, inna la mughraqun, we're going to be drowned, we're going to be killed. We're done, right? Inna la mudrakun. Multiple times the Quran mentions the story. What does Musa alayhi salam say? He says, Kalla inna ma'ya rabbi sayahdeen. Right? The word kalla means never. Right? This is the trust and the surrender that he did for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He knew that everything of his life is in control and is in Allah's control. He knew everything is in Allah's control. Right? Kalla inna ma'ya rabbi sayahdeen. Never. My Lord will never, He's with me. My Lord is with me. He will guide me. He will make sure He takes care of me, right? This is the belief, the yaqeen, the surrender, the trust that Musa alayhi salam had in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? We all know the story of Musa alayhi salam. It's the most quoted story in the Quran. We all read it. It's a Sunday school story. It's a story that's mentioned in the Torah as well as in the Bible. And we always read these stories. We know these stories are very common stories. But let's learn the lessons from these stories, right? Let's learn the sacrifice of Musa alayhi salam. Learn how he gave up everything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. Are we willing to give up, minutes of sleep for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Are we willing to give up 20 minutes a day to read the Quran and make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? These are things that we have to do every single day. We should not miss a single prayer. It's unfortunate, but 70% of the Muslim ummah misses prayers consistently, right? It's not, prayers, 5 daily prayers are absolutely fine. You can never miss them, right? We have to learn how to put Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala above ourselves, right? And remember, whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises us, it is forever. It is forever. Whatever Allah promises us is forever. That's the way we look at it, right? That's the way we understand it. That whatever we're working toward is for our own benefit as well. It's not only for Allah, it's for Allah, but for our own benefit as well. And the second story is a story of Imam Hussein. And if you study the story of Sayyidina Hussein radiallahu ta'ala an, right, we know that this massacre happened against the tyrannical ruler of Yazid. And by the way, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the people of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, right, the people of... Turn back on, please. Just turn back. The people of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, right, it is our belief that Yazid was a tyrannical ruler. But there are two things about Yazid. Number one is he could have been a Sahabi, and number two, the Prophet ﷺ says in a hadith that there is going to be a group of people who conquer a certain land, and whoever is amongst those people, they are guaranteed Jannah. They are guaranteed Jannah, and it is proven authentically that Yazid was those people. Right? So there are two things about Yazid. He was absolutely a tyrannical ruler. Right? His rule started with the killing of Sayyidina Hussein, and it ended with the battle of Harra, where many Sahaba also died, right? And his rule was very, very small, and many people hated him, right? He was a tyrannical ruler. And they said about him that he would indulge in many haram, etc. But Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah say that there are two things. Number one, he could have been a Sahabi, and number two, he's guaranteed Jannah. So we never speak ill of Yazid, and we never praise him either. We stay quiet about him. What is his fate? We don't know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, right? There are some people, unfortunately, they praise him. They say that he did the right thing by killing Sayyidina Hussein, na'udhu billah. And there are some people who curse him, and they call him a kafir, na'udhu billah. We don't do that, right? Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, people of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah say, we don't talk about Yazid. We don't need to get into that. That's between him and Allah, how Allah will take care of him. Right? We take the lessons of the story, and we apply it to ourselves, right? When Yazid came, and he marched toward Kufa, Sayyidina Hussein radiallahu ta'ala, at that time he's in the city of Kufa, and he hears his whole army is going to come. What does he do? He says instead of having everyone killed in Kufa, every house opened and attacked, he leaves the city of Kufa in the middle of the night. He goes outside on the outskirts of Kufa to the city, to a small town called Karbala or Kurbala, depending on the different maps you look at, right? But nonetheless, he sacrifices himself for the sake of his people. This is something that we learn. We learn how to sacrifice ourselves for the sake of others. We learn how to sacrifice ourselves for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And his whole family brought him. And this wasn't a suicidal mission. This is him learning how to surrender and sacrifice himself for others, right? His first thing when Sayyidina Hussein was born, first thing was his saliva mixed with the saliva of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet kissed him on the lips, took a day to put it in his mouth, chewed it himself, and then put it in his mouth, right? His life was a life of sacrifice. If you study his whole life was a life of sacrifice. And I bring both of these stories because both of them talk about the commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the trust in Allah, surrendering yourself before Allah, and sacrifice for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The story of Musa and the story of Sayyidina Hussein. But let's take these lessons during this momentous time, right? This is a blessed time for all of us. This is a time where millions of Muslims they worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala extra, right? And let's fast on these 2 days, the 9th and the 10th of Muharram, which corresponds to Monday and Tuesday of this upcoming week, right? September 9th and September 10th. So Monday and Tuesday, inshallah, where I implore all of you to follow the sunnah of the Prophet where he fasted these 2 days, and let's learn these lessons of Muharram, the incidents of Muharram. These are lessons of sacrifice. These are lessons of surrendering and lessons of putting your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Learning to give up something for the sake of Allah. There will always come moments in time where we will be asked to give up do haram to gain some benefit. That will come. You can get your promotion, but you have to start selling alcohol, or you have to do this, or you have to do that. There are so many different, there are so many different scenarios where we will have to do haram in order to get benefit. We have to learn how to put Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, surrender ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever gain we have in this world will be little, right? But whatever gain we have in the eyes of Allah will be immense. Our life is forever after this world, right? We need to always think about that and learn how to sacrifice haram, take haram out of our lives for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these two stories exemplify that completely. Study the lives of Sayyidina Hussein. Study the lives of Sayyidina Hussein. Study the life of Musa alayhi salam, right? We all know these stories, but go through them and learn the many benefits that you get out. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين. صلوا على رسوله الكريم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من صلى عليه واحدة صلى الله عليه بها عشرة. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. عباد الله رحمكم الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. أقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Just two quick announcements. Number one, we have a brother who wants to take the shahada after the salat, so please stick around so you can also witness this. And secondly, for those parents who we have Sunday school, inshallah. It is starting next Sunday. The Road Academy, that is starting for the IOST Sunday School. Inshallah, starting next Sunday, September 15th. It is for children from grade K to 9th grade. So if you are interested, inshallah, you can go to our website for more details. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا. إن مع العسر يسرا. فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله الله أكبر. الله الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب. ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب. سيصلى نارا ذات لهب. وامرأته حمالة الحطب. في جيدها حبل من مسد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله الله أكبر. الله الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. So we have Brother, when you are here, he's going to take his shahada. He's been learning a lot about Islam from Brother Hassan here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to say a few words in Arabic. And you're going to repeat after me in Arabic, and then I'll say a few words in English, and you just repeat after me. Go slow, one syllable at a time. I say the word, and you just repeat after me. And after that, inshallah, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will do this 2 times. One time, myself and Brother Winner will do it, and when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions in the hadith, jaddidu imanakum, right? La ilaha illallah. Refresh your iman, or renew your iman with La ilaha illallah. So what we'll do is one time we'll take the shahada together, and the second time I'll say it, and everyone, inshallah, with Brother Winner will say it together as well with him, inshallah. La ilaha illa Allah Muhammad Rasulullah. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. I testify and I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I testify and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger and his servant.
Takbir.
So we'll do it one more time, inshallah, and this time everyone also participates as well. La ilaha illa Allah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is no God but Allah. Muhammad is his messenger. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. I testify and I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I testify and bear witness that Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his messenger and his servant.
Allahu Akbar.
Let's see.